Ladies and gentlemen, before we continue with this speech, can we get a round of applause for this beautiful couple first?
So when you're a young kid, you imagine moments like this. You imagine moments where there's everybody that you've ever loved and everybody that's ever supported you sitting there smiling, recording as I can see, and cheering you on and clapping. And you imagine these moments with certain people, and there's about 250 of you in this room today. And whether you like it or not, you're bound to us for the rest of your lives. And quite frankly, I wish there was 251 people in this room, and 252 or 253. There are a lot of people who unfortunately didn't make it to this date in time. But the most important person, who is the 251st person that I wish was here today, his name is Esanullah Rathor, and he's my father. And so some of you on this side of the room may have noticed that my father was not greeting you when you came into the hall, and my father wasn't on the stage during the nikah ceremony yesterday. And that's because he passed away 21 years ago. 7,682 very long days. And I don't mean to bring the mood down in the room, but for a very long time I was very upset that my father wasn't going to be a part of the festivities. And so when we set our wedding date, I decided I wanted to honor him some way. And so I found a few photos of my mom and my dad on their wedding day, and I thought I want to have a suit exactly like my father's suit from that day. And so I took this picture to the mall and took it to a couple suit stores. And absolutely nobody had what I was looking for. They didn't have the cut, they didn't have the color, they didn't have anything at all. And so Ummi suggested, why don't you grab the suit from the closet, take it to the store, maybe they'll be able to match the color at least. And so we went into the back of Ummi's closet and we found 5 or 6 of Dad's old suits. And Abu was a 38, and I'm a 42. I work out a little bit more than he did, I think. And so I knew that most of the suit jackets would not fit me at all. And so, of course, I tried on the first jacket, and I got one arm through one sleeve, and I wouldn't be able to get the second arm through the other sleeve. I would try on another one, and I'd get one arm through, and I'd get the other arm through, and it wouldn't be able to close. And so I grabbed his wedding suit, and I was about to take it to my room without trying it on. And Ummi, with all her wisdom that only a mom can have, said, well, why aren't you trying on the actual wedding suit? And I said, well, it's not going to fit me. And she said, just give it a try. And so I grabbed the jacket, and I slipped one arm through the right arm, and I slipped one arm through the left arm, and flowers did not fall everywhere that day. But the suit jacket fit me perfectly, as you can see. And so, as I stand here in front of you guys today, in my father's exact wedding suit that he wore once upon a time to marry my mom, I realized that he is here, and he is a part of the festivities. And that's not just in the fabric that I'm wearing, or the cloth that's around my legs and my arms, but it's in tiny little fragments of everybody on this side of the room. And believe me, I made a list of all the traits that I see of my father in people on this side of the room, but the list was way too long, and I was gonna cry way too much saying that list. But most importantly, and you'll notice I can't look over here, but most importantly, I see tiny little fragments of my father in my brother Naveed, who I obviously can't look at, which is why I'm looking over here right now. But he's somebody that I know that even if we fight for months and months on end, I can always come to it. And most importantly, I'm still not looking over here, but I see tiny little fragments of him in my mom. who is my heartbeat. And her strength and resilience is absolutely unmatched. And she's crying right now, but I would like to let her know that I also see her in Mrs. Ruthor's lamp, which is a joke that she's going to be able to understand. I don't even think she's hearing me right now. But just like I see tiny little fragments of my father and everybody on this side of the room, I see tiny little fragments of everybody on this side of the room in Umbreen, who is now my wife. A friend of mine asked me a few years ago when I proposed to Umbreen, what made you realize she was the girl you wanted to marry? And there are a lot of answers and a lot of things I could have said, like she's beautiful and she's gorgeous and she's charming and she's funny. And she very well is all of those things. But most importantly to me, she felt like home. She has this ability to make fun of me for 30 minutes straight after I've done something absolutely stupid, and then buy me a coffee at the end of it or give me a meal, just like my mom would in an effort to say sorry for making fun of you. And she has this ability, just like my brother Naveed, to turn the joke on himself or herself and say, let's get over this. And so, as everybody on this side of the room will attest to, the most important thing about Umbreen is that she's good to her very core, as you all probably know. There's a quote in the Holy Quran, and it roughly translates into, whenever you can, wherever you can, race towards goodness, and God will bring you together. And as I mentioned at the top of this speech, there's about 250 people in this room, and all of you are bound to me and Umbreen for the rest of our lives as we begin our race towards goodness together. I've strapped my leg right onto Umbreen's in this race towards goodness. And I know there's going to be days where I want to run forward and Umbreen's going to want to sit back. And there's going to be days where Umbreen wants to run forward and I'm going to want to sit back. And as every married couple in the room will also attest to, there will be days where you feel like you're running in completely different directions. But what I know for sure, and what I've learned over the past few years, is that there's absolutely nobody else on this planet that I would rather start this race towards goodness with than Umbreen. I'm going to leave you all with one small request. And Naveed mentioned it in his speech earlier about kindness. And my request for you all this week, if you'd like to honor us, and if you'd like to honor my mom and my mom and Naveed and Rehana auntie and Rice uncle and Farheen and Ruheen, there's so many of you, I can't list you all. Nasser, I forgot Nasser. Poor Nasser. But if you'd like to honor us this week, my request for you is just to do something kind. And that's whether that's telling your mom or your dad that you love them very much and giving them a big, huge hug like you've been giving me all night. Whether that's sharing your favorite childhood memory with your sibling. Or whether that's complimenting a stranger on their hairstyle or their clothing or whatever it may be. Do something kind this week. And you'll be able to honor the beginning of our marriage. And so I want to thank you all for coming this weekend and taking time out of your busy schedules to join us and celebrate the beginning of our marriage. I hope that you know that I love you all more than I could ever express. I hope your bellies are full. And I hope that most importantly in the upcoming days and weeks, that you will join us as we begin our race towards the good. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic night.